Today is the anniversary of the start of Mauna Loa's most recent volcanic eruption, 31 years ago on March 25, 1984.
It lasted for 22 days. About 220 million cubic meters of lava was erupted. The inspirational thing was about 1 million cubic meters per hour, which is basically what Mauna Loa erupted, or what Kilauea erupts in one day. Mauna Loa erupted in 20 minutes. Flow stopped 4 miles from the city limits. It reinforced that deformation and earthquakes will precede an outbreak, and we can use that to forecast an eruption. And the gentle slopes caused flow divergence, which ultimately meant that Hilo was spared.
This is an immense volcano. This is humongous. It's 50% of the island. All right, on an island with 5 volcanoes, this one dominates. It is the biggest volcano by volume on the planet. It's just gigantic. If you measure it from the ocean floor base up to its summit, it's way bigger than Mount Everest. So this mountain is truly immense. It is also an incredibly active volcano. In 2 weeks, Mauna Loa can erupt what Kilauea takes a year to erupt. It just pumps out lava. This, of course, is a famous picture of Hilo in 1984, showing the lava channel coming down from Mauna Loa. And there's the flow front right on the outskirts of Hilo, right here. And fortunately, of course, that stopped several miles just outside the city limits.
Well, these maps didn't exist in 1984. We had people who lived in Waiakea portion of Hilo, and this area, the north side, Mauna. And every day they would come to work and they would say, "Oh, lava flows going to your house." And the other guys would say, no, the lava flows are going to your house. And this is what we saw, right? This is what it looked like from Hilo. And in actuality, the lava flows were going into this drainage, and that's the Mauna side of Hilo, or the northern part of Hilo. We can do other things like flow modeling at the time, and when there's an actual outbreak, we can actually pinpoint that and then use topography to model where flows are going to go a little bit more precise than the previous slide. And then the other part of this what I did was I did an economic impact survey, because if you're talking about millions of cubic meters and advance rates and 1,000 cubic meters of lava per second. People that make decisions don't really understand that. But if you start talking in dollars and cents, maybe they'll listen. So anyway, what I did here for this simple analysis was I took a lava flow and I intersected it with Hilo, and I looked at improved property values, road cost per mile, electrical, and roads. And so when I did that simple intersection with this one lava flow, we ended up with about $1.2 billion worth of damage. And so this kind of thing can be used for example, if you got 3 power generating plants in lava flow hazard zone 3, maybe you would consider going 1 kilometer north and putting it in zone 7. Anyway, so this is what the hazard maps look like. This is the current hazard map, and this is that where I was talking about zone 7. Anyway, okay, so this is what the hazard zone map look like now. It's semi-quantitative, and we want to look to try and improve upon this with the great wealth of information that we garnered from Mauna Loa.
Geologists have been keeping an eye on the massive volcano, which has shown signs of stirring from its slumber in recent months. Here's what scientists have been saying about the latest activity.
It's showing signs of some unrest. You may have heard about some of this in the news and some of the reports that have been written recently. It's showing bits and pieces of seismicity and deformation. These are 2 of the keys that we use for gauging whether or not a volcano is coming to life, whether or not we might see an eruption in the future. Elevated earthquake activity and inflation of the volcano that would suggest there's magma accumulating beneath the surface. So this is a plot of the number of earthquakes per month recorded near the summit of Mauna Loa since 2000, And here's a map of those earthquakes. There's the caldera of Mauna Loa right there. So all of the earthquakes in here are recorded by time there. And we've seen this sort of increase. The red line is the cumulative number of earthquakes. We've seen this increase in the number of earthquakes, and especially in the last 6 months or so. It does seem to have been a bit of an uptick there. But how does this compare historically? It's a bit misleading, I think, to put this up there and start raising the alarm. Because if we were to go back and look at the archive of seismicity at Mauna Loa since, say, 1960, we might see a slightly different story. There's the 1975 eruption, there's the 1984 eruption, and here's where we are now. So yes, seismicity is elevated at Mauna Loa. We're seeing little bits of earthquakes, a slight increase in the energy release, but it is nothing compared to what we saw in 75 and 84.